Video.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right. That's because it's a church intro.
Video.
Again.
5-minute church intro video. This is the first time for them.
It's not the first time for us, though.
It is not the first time for us for the week. No.
Thinking technical difficulties.
So someone who shall remain nameless left their mic. Oh, hi, welcome. I'm in Texas. We're not in Tennessee at the moment. We're both in Texas. It's crazy.
And we're not live.
And we're not
right
live.
now. But
We're talking right there.
At least that's the plan.
We're talking
on the chat.
over there in the chat, probably.
I don't know why you're pointing.
Because
see this part.
Oh yeah. Because the chat's over there.
They might see this part, actually. I may not have time to put new video over top of it, so this might not be church intro video. This might just be church intro sound.
Church intro sound. Church intro sound.
And then I'll go edit it for the podcast release version and take all this part off.
Like you normally do.
Like I normally do, yeah. Yes, because this part where the music is playing and we're actually talking relaxed, this is for the live people only.
Of course.
This doesn't go out for the podcast.
No, this doesn't go out for the podcast.
This is special.
And so they don't get to know that I'm not in Tennessee.
Right. Well, they will. We'll say it again once we
How?
go live. Because I'll say, I'm Pastor Bill and I'm joined by Pastor Nooms, who's here with me all the way from Tennessee.
They won't know that I'm here all the way from Tennessee, though.
I'll say it. Then they'll know.
You mean they won't know because I'm sitting next to you?
They don't see it in podcast form. They hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Like radio, you have to say it for them to know it.
That's right. Oh, yeah. We've only been doing this for years. No big deal.
This is only, this is only our 7th year?
372nd episode.
This is episode 372, yeah?
Yeah.
Season 3.
Episode 72.
Right, because I decided each season would be 100 episodes. And you were like, that's weird, why? And I was like, because we have to mark them somehow.
As opposed to just saying episode 372.
That's true, we could just say episode 372, but
Not now.
we've already set a precedent
272 episodes ago, we stopped being able to do that.
now. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's fun to say season 3 though. You can break it down, you go to season 3. But what's the difference between season 1 and season 3? Time. Space. Matter. Relative dimensions.
So Pastor Craig of Life Church today.
Oh, this morning?
Yeah, this morning. He said, I love Bed Bath & Beyond. You know, I mainly really just love the Beyond. Because I always want to know what's in the Beyond. And it's so true, because it's like Bed, Bath, and... Ooh, what's this random gadget? Yeah.
Bed, bath, and sharper image overstock.
And kitchen stuff, and... I've gotten a lot of kitchen gadgets from there that I love. My little mini waffle makers come from there. My favorite measuring cups come from there.
I love when I find sharper image stuff on the As Seen on TV.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, somebody brought this back. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we did this already once.
We did.
It went terrible. It went terrible. And
this mic here that you can see in the video.
I thought we weren't going to put the video here.
This is the live time for live only
But
people.
usually we do the intro video over.
I just said that he wasn't going to have time to do the intro video because it's got to release
You said maybe.
Well, it's got to release in like 2 hours.
Okay.
3 hours. Whatever it is. So the microphone here would pick up the audio. And then the microphone on the camera would pick up the audio.
And the reason why we're cramped in this little space and we're having to use his setup instead of my normal setup that I would bring with me is I just left it. I brought the computer and that's it. So yeah.
Just you can bring the whole computer.
No, I brought Cinder, the laptop. Tina's laptop. Zadie's laptop. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yup. Beep, boop, beep.
We got like 10 seconds.
We got like 10 seconds? Yeah, because see, that's the other bad thing about just the audio version of this, is I get to see...
Okay, the intro music is
intro
done
music
now,
is over. So,
all right, here we go.
Hello and
will you not?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 72 of the Brain Manifesto. Faith, hope, and love for the modern Christian. I'm Pastor Bill, and I'm joined by Pastor Nooms, who is actually here in my office with me all the way from Tennessee in Texas. Him and his family are here for the week. So, hi, Pastor Nooms.
I'm not here.
This is... Oh, my goodness.
I'm not actually here. I'm a puppet.
You're a puppet?
I'm a puppet.
You're not a puppet. So, why are you being so weird?
I don't know, man. Lack of sleep. I'm on vacation.
Yeah, you are.
All those reasons. So my week went pretty well.
Yes, how was your week, Pastor Nooms?
So my week was good. My week was weird. I was real busy at work trying to get ready for vacation because I'm a reformed workaholic, if you can see those quotes. And I always like to tell myself I'm no longer a workaholic. I'm above being a workaholic. I'm not a workaholic no more because I know how to take breaks from work, and I know how to walk away at 5 o'clock, and I know how to... I'm not a workaholic. And then, like, the days before vacation come, and I tell Bill I can't speak to you for days because I'm so busy at work. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I still am.
And I'm over here going, lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely.
You know, you have a whole family that lives here with you that you could talk to at any point.
I see them every day.
You see me every day. It's just a little square over there as opposed to...
In person, live. Live from New York. It's family time.
So Finnick, your son.
Right, my newest one.
Yeah, the smallest, who's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just turned 3.
Yeah. He, he was like 1 and a little bit the last time I saw him.
Mm-hmm.
And so usually I only see him sitting on his dad's lap or sitting in this general vicinity, or then the camera gets tilted down or he climbs up in the chair. And so the whole time I've been like, hey, I need a hug. And he's like, okay. Hey, I need another hug. Oh, okay. And like one of my daughters, who I'm not very touchy-feely. My kids are, my wife, I'm not super touchy, but I am touchy enough. Mm-hmm. One of my daughters were driving back to the hotel, and she's like, why are you hugging Finnick constantly? And I'm like, because I've only seen him. I haven't got to touch him. Like, we haven't touched the other ones. I touched them a lot earlier.
2 years worth of toddler hugs to get in.
Like, I touched them when they were this. I overtouched already with all of the other ones, including y'all. But him, he's not burned out the dopamine levels of touching him still gives dopamine, as opposed to the rest of them. It's just
supervised, appropriate touches.
Hugs. Pervert.
Yeah. Right, but just...
I hate that we live in a world where that's a thing.
I do too, but it is a thing.
You're valid, yes. So, my week was crazy. I left Friday night after I worked all day. I took a 2-hour nap, got in the car, and Zadie took a very long nap so that way she could drive first. So she started driving first, and I was going to go to sleep, and I wrapped myself up in my blanket.
And you absolutely went to sleep in the car.
Went to sleep immediately.
Yep, and got all kinds of rest.
Couldn't sleep at all.
Yeah, that's not how that went.
And pulled out my Switch and started playing Pokemon, which I haven't played in a long time. And so it was like, oh, wow, I'm here. Oh, wow, there's that. Oh, wow, there's the 2 expansions I haven't even touched that I paid for.
Thing?
And so I'm trying to make myself fall asleep. It's just not working.
Thinking of not expansions, but expansions. When does Tiny Tina's Wonderland come out?
It's out.
It's not. I went in Steam today, and it said it's...
Epic. It's out in Epic.
It's out in Epic, but it's not out in Steam?
Epic has an exclusivity that it gets everything first when it comes from Gearbox.
Gotcha.
They have some contract, I think. I think there's people playing it, so it might be that it released early beta, and people are playing it. Beta. But people are playing it.
Yeah, I saw a video, so I was going to ask. But then I went into the Steam library, and it was like, you can put this on your wish list, and we'll let you know when it's available.
It might be because it's exclusivity with Epic. I haven't checked. Because I'm still obsessed. Lost Ark still has dopamine. Let's be honest.
Right. Lost Ark is.
I'm still chasing it because someone is slower than I am, and so I can't move into tier 2.
Someone doesn't have as much time to play as you do.
Someone needs to get a life. How was someone's week, Pastor Bill?
Well, the someone who already has a life, their week was fine.
Was it? Yeah.
It was good to have the new contract to work on. A little bit of actual work.
Yeah. It's always good to have a new contract.
Yeah.
This is so weird
Very
having this
fulfilling.
conversation the second time. Because we're trying to have the same conversation, so it's still, but it's so weird. Because we've had this exact conversation. Only I'm less delusional since I did get sleep last night.
You didn't say very many of the same things, though, in yours.
I didn't?
No, it was...
I felt like I did.
No, it was different. It was pretty different.
That's scary
Yeah.
then. Because this is what I remember saying.
Yeah. No, you said some different stuff there, so... That's fun. Yeah, so my week was good.
Oh, man, dude. I didn't bring my cards with me.
Don't... Why are you... We can use my cards, man.
We can use your cards? Is that allowed? Because it's my week for cards.
He did that last night.
So last night
he
we're
did
recording.
That exact thing.
And I'm in mid-sentence of something completely else. And for the bit that I don't enjoy...
Now you're saying my lines.
I know.
From last night.
I freaked out and was like, dude. And he goes, what? And I'm like, I don't have my cards with me. And he's like, what really? I'm like,
Forgetting to know the pastors, the bit that you hate.
Are we going to read the same card as last night?
No.
What happens with that card?
It's gone. You didn't like the question anyway. There were
I
too many
answered it, though.
qualifiers.
Okay. Sorry, guys. You'll
Right,
never
so
hear
my
it.
week was good. It was good to have an actual job contract to focus in on and work on. When the church was running full time and I could do things every day with the church, that was good. That was satisfying. Even though I wasn't getting paid, still, it was satisfying.
Where's your script? Because you're saying the same words exactly. Do you have a script somewhere?
No.
How are you saying the same words?
How would you know if I'm saying the same words?
I don't know, man. I was delusional last night.
So, I've been applying for jobs to try to fill in the time.
So many.
And I wish there was enough busy work with the church
Yeah.
to fill a full week, but there's just not. There's, a few hours here, a few hours there, if that. Now, leading up to Pride this year, I've got shirts I need to design and order, and
we're doing new shirts?
time is running low on that. Well, we're actually going to do merch, and we're going to put prices on the merch, and then we're basically just going to give the merch away just to get them to the table and get something in their hands that they can then wear that testifies to being fully known and but being fully known and being fully loved. And t-shirts, maybe hats, and put $10 on the shirt, and they come up, and you're like, you know what? You just take that. That's fine.
Isn't that manipulative?
Manipulative to give something away for free. If we write free, they're not gonna walk up. They're gonna, it's free. If they want to pay, we'll take the money. But
I don't know if I like that. Let's talk about that.
okay, we can talk about that.
Feels weird.
Okay.
And I say, isn't that manipulative? Like all marketing isn't manipulative.
All marketing is manipulative.
Dude, I keep not
there's
looking
no...
at the camera because I usually am looking here at this view of you, and so
Yeah.
I continue to look at that view of you.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at you or
at
looking
the
at the camera.
Which is what you were doing last night too.
Was I?
Yep.
Okay.
And I brought it up even. We had this conversation, but
Yeah,
I brought it up.
I remember. I was messing with you.
You're so weird.
Which is one of my favorite things to do, is to mess with you. It's my goal every day to mess with you at least in a little way. It's almost like that's written in as part of the podcast every week. Like if you were to replace me with someone
with the new Nooms.
With a new Nooms, you'd
'Cause
have
they'd
to have
keep the title.
You'd have to keep the
Yeah,
title,
of
and
Nooms.
they would have to be.
It would be in their standard operating procedure.
We had this
We had this
conversation,
conversation
last night.
Okay.
I think this might be fun. We should always do a full
we
trial
should do a
run.
full trial run and then
Yeah.
laugh at ourselves. Okay,
Yeah.
here's the new card, bro.
New
You
card,
ready?
bro. Yeah.
All right.
It better be the same card.
It's not.
It better be. Okay. Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
Oh man.
Now, we're talking podcast specific or in life in general?
Both.
Okay. So mine are easy. There are two phrases. I'm leaned into the mic and I'm just going to make extra noise and stuff and kill the recording. And so I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. Not my bad. I don't like holding trash. So my two phrases would have to be easy. This is so easy. So easy. all of you have heard this. If you've listened to us more than once. It's Microsoft's fault. Or any variation of that. Like, this is why I'm mad. This is why I don't like Microsoft products. This is why. Or the other. Oh, I ate the last one. Oh,
Yeah, I got the last one. You got the second to the last one.
Or the other phrase that I use way too much is, well, that's why English is a terrible language.
What about it's valid?
Stopped using it because your wife and my wife mocked me for it to the point where I don't use that phrase anymore. And I will stop myself mid-sentence when I start using it. I don't even use it in business anymore. If someone's like, is that valid? I'm like, I think it's good. Yeah. I will not say, yeah, it's valid. You broke me.
You don't reply with, well, you can wipe your butt with one hand and eat chocolate ice cream with the other. Just don't get your hands confused.
30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. Are we done with the podcast yet? Ding!
So I say, and I know why, but I say, to be fair.
To
a
be
lot
fair.
now. To be fair.
To be fair. For anyone who doesn't know where it's from, we're not going to tell you because it is so inappropriate on 1,500 different levels. And
but if you know, then you know.
Then you know.
Already.
And if you know, when he said "to be fair," you had already at least
you had
once
already
gone,
replied.
To be fair.
You had already.
You had already
replied.
had.
You did. You did, and you didn't even realize you were gonna. It was
No.
a Pavlovian response.
Yeah.
We rang the bell, and your mouth started watering.
The other day, I did it at work.
Yeah.
Someone said, "Well, to be fair," I was like, "To be fair," and they went, "Huh? Nothing.
Nothing. I didn't say a thing. Nothing happened. There was no interaction here of words.
Straight up, did it in a meeting. To be fair.
What? Well, what phrase do I use in the podcast a lot? There was one I used to use a lot. I can't remember what it was though. I mean, obviously I say hello and welcome. I did that every episode since the very beginning.
Peace.
Except in the very beginning it was hello and welcome.
No, it wasn't. It was hello. It was weird. It was not a normal.
Hello.
Yeah. It was very much like a Miss Doubtfire pie on the face. Hello. Yeah. Is how it always was. And it was like.
So now it's hello and welcome. What?
It makes me itch when I just hear hello and welcome now. I just realized.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, but if you don't finish the phrase, obviously that's a new neurotic tick for me.
To season something of episode
because
something.
that was
the Berean
my
Manifesto.
skin started crawling. Like
Faith, hope, and love for the modern Christian. It's like when you hear a run of notes, and then they leave off the last note, and you're like, "No, finish the run."
There's a new song that came across, and it has the same first three notes as some other song, and I for some reason can't flip it in my mind.
When I was,
and so it's like it starts, and I'm like, bah, bah, bah. No, that's I know the song. Okay, so
all right. So this week we are in Acts chapter 2, and we're looking at verses 1 through 13, and talking about what's contained there. So I'll go ahead and read it,
okay,
and then we'll move forward.
Which this week we're gonna read 2 whole passages. It's crazy. I might even read.
Well, last night you did. You took the Bible right out of my hand and was like, you know what? I'm going to read that.
I really did. All
right. When the day of Pentecost had arrived, they were all together in one place. Suddenly, a sound like that of a violent rushing wind came from heaven, and it filled the whole house where they were staying. They saw tongues like flames of fire that separated and rested on each one of them. Then they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in different tongues as the Spirit enabled them. So, why fire?
So,
versus when Jesus was filled with the Holy Spirit, it was a dove.
So I have a thought here. It's
course you do.
a weird thought. So, Jesus, the Jewish people viewed the Messiah as someone who was going to come as a conquering king. Incorrectly, but that's what they viewed. A conquering king coming. So, I find it interesting that what came down was a dove, because had fire come from heaven and encircled or even landed on him and like, whoa, they would have been like, oh yeah, he's about to kill all the Romans. And it would have been like the montage of every good anime when someone flames up, and so that's what it would have been, and everyone would have been like, whoa!
They would have been like, Jesus is went Super Saiyan!
And that's not fire.
Okay.
It's more like a demon slayer or
Can I say he's on X Games mode then?
Sure.
Okay. Alright. So, picking back up in verse 5, you're looking at the...
I'm doing it
your head
again.
instead of looking at the camera.
Sorry.
Your head. Now there were Jews staying in Jerusalem, devout people from every nation under heaven. When this sound occurred, a crowd came together and was confused because each one heard them speaking in his own language. They were astounded and amazed, saying, "Look, aren't all these who are speaking Galileans?"
Which is an insult.
How is it that each of us can hear them in our own native language? And then it gives a list of a bunch of different places. You can go read that for yourself in verses 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
And even a couple in verse 11. So that's where we're going to pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
We hear them declaring the magnificent acts of God in our own tongues. They were all astounded and perplexed, saying to one another, "What does this mean?" But some sneered and said, "They're drunk on new wine," which was another insult. Galileans. Why is Galileans an insult?
They were. It's almost like a coal town.
Yeah, it almost is.
It's lots of
a fishing
fisher,
town, but yeah.
And so it would have been a lot of rough people like Peter.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
Not a lot of mental training.
Mm-mm.
Not a lot of religious training. Not a lot of
and
sophistication.
I got into this conversation earlier. The American mindset. So here's a question.
Is this the same question from last night?
No, of course not. That would be weird. I already got that question answered.
But they didn't.
If someone's speaking in tongues, you're speaking hillbilly like normal.
Right.
And I'm hearing
hillbilly tongues.
I'm hearing
like hillbilly
normal English.
Spanish.
What would hillbilly Spanish sound like?
Donde está la biblioteca?
So that's technically correct, but terrible.
Right.
Would that be what the person hears?
That's what I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they'd be like, "Ooh, that hick," but man, that's in my language.
So that's the first question. Second off, what about the people who don't get inner monologues? Would they hear anything? Or would words come across their face?
In this scenario, it seems to imply they heard with their ears. Not inner monologue heard, yeah.
Right. What about deaf people?
I guess there weren't any there that day. I don't know.
This is terrible, and this is very rude of me, and I'm sorry for everyone. Wouldn't it be interesting if someone started fidgeting when they were speaking?
And it ended up being...
like, not being insensitive, but what if someone started speaking and they were like,
Did they even have...
I don't know. That's a good point.
I'm not sure if they had that.
I don't have Google at the moment because I don't have a computer in front of me. I'm actually super fidgety more than normal because I'm not playing a game or reading something at the same time we're doing this.
It's an interesting thought. I mean, because, they made American Sign Language because of a lack of a substitute.
Well, and multiple were made because there's actually ESL and ASL, and there's actually like 2 versions of ASL, I think it is.
Well, it's always how it is. Every time you identify a need that needs to be filled, like
someone
5
else
other
has.
people see the same need.
Yeah.
And almost most of the time at the same time,
yeah,
because of the morphic field.
There's no such thing as a morphic field.
Okay. There's a morphic field. That's monkeys in one continent learn something, and they, at the exact same time, monkeys on another continent learn the same thing with no reason why the second set should have learned it when the first set were taught it, because morphic field. Scientists make a breakthrough in a basement on one part of the world, and then scientists on the other side of the world go, I wonder if...
It does happen.
Because of the morphic field. It's the thing. We're all connected. Spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, I wanted to point out, and we're going to hit pretty heavy on this. Maybe not that heavy. Okay. I wanted to point out, in verse 4, there's this misconception that people have taken away from verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
So let's reread verse 4, and then we'll talk about that. Then they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak in different tongues as the Spirit enabled them.
Mm-hmm.
It says they were all filled with the Holy Spirit.
Right.
It does not say they all spoke in tongues.
There should almost be like a semicolon there.
There should be a colon or a semicolon, something, to indicate that the sentence is breaking there.
Mm-hmm.
It says they spoke as the Spirit enabled them, but not they all spoke in tongues.
And that's definitely something that comes up in our culture. There are churches, denominations, there are people groups, that believe that if you don't speak in tongues, you're not truly saved.
Right. And it creates this...
It creates an anger, it creates a need for some people to feel like they must fake it, to doubt their salvation because they can't speak in tongues. And then there's, just this generality of... There's other groups of Christians that then look and say, okay, well, I know I'm saved, and I don't speak in tongues. This person says you have to be saved to speak in tongues, so they must not even be a Christian.
Right.
They must be filled with a demon. They must be spreading misinformation and spreading demons.
It creates these divides in the church instead of unifiers.
As opposed to just doing something like looking at 1 Corinthians 12.
Right. I got the ribbon there.
You got the ribbon there for me?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put the ribbon in the other place for you. You'll have to find it. So if we go to 12, this is a different Bible. This is smaller print than what you gave me last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if we go to 12, and we start in verse 1, right? Yeah? Yeah. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brothers and sisters, I do not want you to be unaware. You know that when you were pagans, you used to be enticed and led astray by mute idols. Therefore, I want you to know that no one speaking by the Spirit of God says Jesus is cursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. Now, there are different gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different ministries, but the same Lord. And there are different activities, but the same God produces each gift in each person. A manifestation of the Spirit is given to each person for the common good. To one is given a message through the Spirit, to another a message of knowledge by the same Spirit to another, faith by the same Spirit to another, gifts of healing by the one Spirit to another, the performing of miracles to another, prophecy to another, distinguishing between spirits, to another different kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. One and the same Spirit is active in all of these, distributing to each person as he wills. So, two things. One, I love 1 Corinthians. I do. So, one of the things I love about the author, Paul, is you could tell sometimes he's just frustrated. He's been getting reports probably from someone somewhere and being like, hey, these guys are saying this guy's more important than this guy because he can do this and he can do that. So
this one operates in a greater spirit than that one.
Yeah. So he's
was
like...
a common phrase of the day.
He's like, okay. Same Spirit. So he says, but the same Spirit. Then he says, but the same Lord. But the same God. Manifestation of the Spirit. Through the Spirit. Same Spirit. And the Spirit. Like, says it in different way. Like, will you listen? And then it gets down to the other part, and he's like, I'm tired of saying it. If you didn't understand by this point that after everything I said, by the same, or by the, or by each, the rest of these points...
They're not for you.
They're not for you. Like, you don't
this
get
was
to
meant
even...
for somebody else at this point.
Like, you're not getting it. And then he just drops the Spirit, because whoever's writing it, in case he was dictating it, because there were times he did that, or he was writing it, he's like, I'm not writing Spirit no more. I've written the word Spirit like 8 times in the last 2 sentences. If they don't get this, I'll write a second book. Which also has a passage about spiritual gifts in it, but that's beside the point. So, here you go. One thing I want to say is, and it's interesting when you deal with it, that so many people forget that it is the same Spirit that gives all of these gifts, and the gifts are given at different times. It never says you're given a gift forever either. You're given a gift as he wills.
And that word gift, right? It comes up first in verse 4. Now, verse 1 uses the word gift, at least in the King James, but it was an add-on later for clarification.
Because people weren't getting it.
Right. But in verse 1, it's just now concerning spirituality.
Yeah.
Not now concerning spiritual gifts. The word gifts is first used in verse 4 of chapter 12, and it is the word charisma. Right? And it means a divine gratuity, right? As Western country people, we know what gratuities are. They're tips.
Tip.
It's tip. It's an extra. It's what you
Just
give on
the
top.
tip.
Yeah, it's just the tip.
Just the tip. Not the whole thing. Christianity, the gift, the Spirit, the gift of the Spirit, not the gifts from the Spirit, the gift of the Spirit, that's everybody. The gratuity is, in America, it's under the total, is the bottom, it's the tip, it's the extra.
And now, it goes on to say that is deliverance from danger or passion. So it's a calming, right? If you're moving in the gifts of the Spirit, then you're not getting red-faced and angry. You're doing the opposite. If you're getting red-faced and angry, that's not a gift of the Spirit. That can be a move of the Spirit to drive you there, but that's not a gift of the Spirit.
I'll agree.
Okay.
So I was thinking the red-faced, but specifically you said red-faced and angry in one
anger.
group.
It's the angry.
Because the red-faced, I mean, you can definitely get red-faced.
You know. Specifically, a spiritual endowment. You've endowed it with something.
Because it's a gift.
That is subjectively religious qualification. So you can... Subjective. Use a subjective qualification to say, oh yes, you have a religious this. Or objectively, miraculous faculty. Right? And then it says free gift. A free gift. So it's not something that
you shouldn't have to pay for healing?
You definitely shouldn't have to pay for healing.
Interesting.
So it's not something you go out and just operate in all the time.
No.
It's not. It's something that you go out and when you feel like you feel the unction of the Holy Spirit to use a gift, that's when you operate in it. Right? For you to say, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to move in the gifts of the Holy Spirit. That's you borderline practicing divination and manipulation of the gifts of the Spirit.
Unless you have that feeling at that moment.
Right. However, the Lord can prompt you every day in every situation.
Yeah.
So it's not for me to look at someone using their gifts and make that call.
No.
It's for the person using their gifts.
Yes.
It's for me to tell you how to look at yourself and see the difference.
Yeah,
right?
and it's very much with the gifts of the Holy Spirit like this. You see people that use them, and then you see people that you think are faking it, which you don't get to judge that, but it's just that moment of you're operating in that every day, all day, every moment.
Now,
you're
one
awake.
of the gifts of the Spirit is discernment, though. Discernment of spirits.
It is.
Right?
It is. And if you practice discernment of spirits, a lot of times you just got to keep your mouth shut.
Most of the time.
There's very, very few times you actually want to walk up and be like, excuse me, you're full of... And there's
You
even
faker, you big old faker.
and there's even fewer times you want to walk up to someone and say, "You have a demon attached to you right now, trying to crawl in your ear. Would you like me to talk to it?" That one you really shouldn't do. It really weirds people out.
Never goes over well.
No, don't do that. And don't pray for a gift to go away, because if it goes away and God removes it from you, He might never give it back. So, like your gifts, don't pray for them to go away and then end up with fewer. Blind out here. Anyway, it does. It feels like I'm blind now. It's ridiculous. Anyway, one of these days, he might decide I've learned my lesson and give it back. Maybe. So, I personally don't speak in tongues. It is not a gift I have. It's a gift I've asked for. It's a gift I've prayed for. Especially in times when I thought it might be
The qualifier.
And when people are shoving that down your throat constantly.
But it is a
qualifier. Yeah.
Not the
Not
qualifier. The qualifier is fruits of the Spirit. Are there fruits of the Spirit coming out of you?
I don't have any fruits of the Spirit.
Joy, peace, patience, kindness, long-suffering, gentleness. That's bull. You do too.
No, I'm hard.
That's the That's the
No,
qualifier.
but
we judge each other
aside.
based off of that fruit of the Spirit, not gifts of.
And no, and the fruit of the Spirit. That's one of those things where, again, similar to discernment, just because you have judged someone does not mean you think you should go tell them that you don't think they're exhibiting the right fruits of the Spirit. Because that is not for you as a person to decide. I hate when Bill tells me that I'm not practicing fruits of the Spirit. And he doesn't do that. Typically, he calls me out for actually doing fruits of the Spirit when I don't want to admit that, like certain of them, like gentleness, kindness, those are meh. And he'll be like, "Oh, look at you! You're being so nice to that person."
Exactly,
I'm like, "You need
hey,
to go
look
away.
Look at you doing the thing with the thing.
Look at you talking to those people when God prompted you. You go sit down."
You're awesome, bro.
Anyway, I'm a self-hating person. That's one of those verses I struggle with. I'm still looking over here to talk. I'm looking to talk to video you, even though real you is right here.
I'm right here. You're supposed to talk to me or to the camera?
We've been gone. We're separated too long.
Yeah. And I'm getting older too.
So yeah. I mean that's the main thing for me is that whole aspect of not judging people based on this kind of stuff. And because it creates several things.
Divisions.
It creates divisions. It creates people who feel like they have to fake it. It feels like people, like you have people that it's just so many. So
the only division that should be in the church is division of labor.
I agree.
Right? Like
yeah.
Like
I'm not joking because you're wrong. I'm joking because another thought comes into my head.
You're the greeters. You're the senders. These are the divisions.
Well, it's like for me.
Like it shouldn't be Baptist and Protestant and Catholic, and we are the church, and every one of us is guilty of the sins of all the rest.
Yeah.
Period. You can't say, well, that's not my denomination.
No.
It doesn't matter. It's your faith.
It's us as
we
a
are
whole.
the church.
Yeah.
You're guilty of what they did.
Yeah.
Period.
And
you're a part of the church.
And that's why we have to continue to, as a church, the church, move towards being better. Constantly searching for being better. Not searching for a way to be more divisive just so we can end up on TV more, so that way we can get more hits on our YouTube by being divisive. If that's your goal, and you say anything in a forum of things like, well, if I'm super divisive, then I'm spreading the message to more people because I end up on the news. If that is your thought process going into it, I worry about you. Not judging that you might not be a Christian. I'm not saying you might be a terrible person. I'm not saying you're a false prophet. None of those, because that's not for me to judge. I'm saying I'm worried about you, because there are judgments later when the judge gets to judge you, and I'm worried he might agree with my snap judgments that I'm not trying to judge you, but I did judge you on. Of you need to go sit down.
And his judgments count. And you may say, there's only one judgment I'm concerned about, whether I'm going to heaven or hell. And my friend, that's simply not true.
No.
When you get to the judgment, you're going to feel.
We are all
every
going to feel
moment.
Yeah.
You think it's bad when you're a child and you disappoint your parent and you feel that fear and that anger and that loathing for yourself and all that deep-seated, misappropriated rage that you don't know where it comes from at yourself. That's a fraction of what you're going to feel in the spirit when you look God face to face and you're at that judgment and you see this thing that you did that hurt God. The pain you're going to feel at that moment. And we know this is accurate because of the whole wipe away every tear.
It's after.
Da-da-da-da-da. Is after the judgment. There have to be tears to wipe away.
And there's going to be a lot. Because we've all done stuff.
A lot of this judgment is more healing, spiritual healing than anything else. It's to get you to a place where, yes, you learned faith, and you're now ready to move on into eternity with God, but you've got baggage now, and that baggage needs to heal. And a lot of the judgment is healing of that baggage. And everyone goes through the judgment. Everyone goes through that healing. And then the sorting of saved or not saved is at the end of the judgment. So we all go through the judgment. Everyone. And then that last moment is when your name's called, come over here or go over there. I know that came out cheesy, but
it did. I don't see Jesus or any herald angel or
he
God.
He opens the book and the names that were written in it.
I know, but I don't see.
Go over here.
I don't see any of them.
And then they're like, okay, all the rest of you, go over there.
I don't see. I would prefer, it says that God will separate the sheep from the goats, right? That whole aspect. I'd prefer if all of a sudden everyone floated and he just separated us. Like, vroom, vroom. And then, that's legitimately what I've always pictured, is not a Bob, Frank, Smith, go this way.
Yours is almost even more heartbreaking than the way I thought of it, because in yours, you've collected together with people you loved in life, and you're, holding hands, you're connected, and you all float up, and then you're literally pulled away from each other because one of you faithed and the other one didn't.
That would suck.
Yeah.
But mine's a cooler Jedi trick.
Yes, let's lower God to the level of Jedi.
No, I'm not lowering him to... I'm saying Jedi got that idea from an ability that God might have, and they're just not good at it. That's why it takes all that concentration. For God, it happens.
I've always thought of midichlorians as the Holy Spirit.
We don't speak that word.
About Bruno?
We can talk about Bruno all day. That man had some abuses.
We don't talk Why don't we do that?
Even Star Wars no longer talks about it. They talked about it, and they went, "Oh, that was terrible. That was so bad," and because it's not talked about in the original 3, and then it's talked about in the prequels in 1, maybe 2 of the movies. I think it's like 1.5, maybe. I think it's just 1 though, and then in none of the extra shows, none of the not the sequels, not the sequels, the 3 sequels, none of them. Nobody. Everyone's going, no, that was dumb. We tried that was dumb. That is dumb. There isn't little thingies in your blood because that was the thing, it was in your blood, not like a spiritual force upon you.
Yeah.
It's in your blood, which doesn't then explain the force spirits, because it can't be in your blood.
Right.
If you then rip it out, they'd be bloody things walking around, or floating nanos. Not. No, it was no.
Okay.
Beep,
You're not,
bloop, blop.
you're not caught up on the whole Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian stuff, right?
No, they don't.
They don't what?
Do they go back into that?
Into what?
The things that we don't talk about?
No.
Okay. No, I'm behind.
No, I was
I'm
just saying,
super far behind.
there's a lightsaber that comes up,
I'm super far behind.
and it's weird, some kind of weird lightsaber where if you don't wield it with the right frame of mind and will, then it gets heavier every time you swing it, to the point where you can't even hold it up anymore if you continue to fight its will with your own will and try to use it in a way that it doesn't want to be used.
So Excalibur.
Something like that.
Nice. It's black, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's that. Okay,
The dark
yeah,
saber, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah,
And
cool.
thought to myself,
Yeah, it's a living. It's got a living will of its own.
honed through the crystal?
They
Or does it
haven't.
not even have a crystal?
They haven't talked about that deep into it yet. All right, so we're at 46 minutes in.
Which is hilarious,
Um,
because last night when we recorded this wrong, it was like almost 2 hours.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No way.
The main one was
Uh-huh.
like an hour and 10 minutes.
Really?
And there's like 4 others.
Well, the 4 others were short.
Just because I burped in the middle of the thing doesn't matter. I was so delusional, folks.
All right, so
Be glad you didn't get that one, to be honest.
normally we record this podcast live on Sunday evenings.
Sunday evenings.
So if you're watching or listening to this and you wanted to come join us live,
Yep.
we do that on Sunday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
That's
and
right.
you can come join us on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, and you can join in the chat, typing, and be a part of the
Like
conversation.
over there.
And so we can then reply, usually on video.
Yep.
Tonight this was pre-recorded because of them being in town and
Internet.
issues. Usually I have more time to do it
Last year
as
was
far
bad.
as the recorded stuff, and then also we actually go live from his internet connection in Tennessee because it's infinitely faster than mine is. What did we say my upload speed was?
0.4.
0.4 today. My upload
0.4
megabits per
0.4,
second,
y'all.
was my upload speed. And the hotel in town where he's staying at has a 9 megabit upload speed at the hotel. And I was like, 9? Wow, that must be nice. So, yeah. So that's why we're doing it canned tonight.
But we're still here.
We're here in chat.
Right there.
We're actually there in chat with you.
Right there.
To answer questions, to be a part of what's going on tonight. But will you stop pointing at the screen?
I'm not. I'm pointing where the camera is.
The camera's right there.
No, I'm pointing at where the chat will be tonight.
But we're not even going to be here tonight. We're going to be at the hotel chatting.
In Twitch, the chat is on that side of the screen.
Is it?
Yes.
How you know? It doesn't flip? Maybe it's over there.
Oh, man. No, it doesn't flip.
Okay. Anyway, come join us some Sunday night. The podcast comes out on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. If you like the podcast, share it, send it to people, give us a review, help more people get faith, hope, and love for the modern church. I hope you have a great week, and I love you.
Be safe out there, y'all. Please.
And until next time.
Do they only have to be safe until next time, or do they get to be safe forever, even if they don't join us next time?
No, this is, I'll see you next time.
Oh. So we don't... It's not just those things qualified only until next time.
Although I did say have a great week. So that one qualifies.
That's weird.
Yeah.
30-second buffer.
30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. Has it been 30 seconds yet?
I told his 3-year-old
No. It hasn't.
that the reason why his hair is tall is because we're short, and he tries to make himself feel taller. And I think he might have actually believed me.
30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer.
Okay, press the
All right.
button, because
See
it's
you
not
later.
me this week.
Bye, guys.
I get to say press the button.
Press the button.